The North Korean military is one of the largest in the world, featuring over 1 million active-duty soldiers, millions of reservists and paramilitary members, and thousands of tanks. It spends anywhere from a quarter to a third of its budget on its armed forces, and has developed a nuclear weapons arsenal, along with chemical weapons, and even lasers. But the North Korean army is also a teetering, obsolete, 20th century force. Their tanks, planes, and submarines are mostly of the Cold War variety. Its nukes are weak, its soldiers hungry, and its leadership uncoordinated and subservient to a dictator with no military experience. Even with all that, though, the DPRK's military has scary capabilities, enough that the US is constantly planning for how to defeat it. Here are some of the most frightening aspects of North Korea's massive military. North Korea has the biggest military per capita in the world. Thought to have about 1.2 million active-duty military members, North Korea has 47.8 per 1,000 population members, the highest rate of any country in the world. This is 10 times higher than the US. Next, it has a huge paramilitary force. The numbers are hard to pin down, but it's thought that North Korea has anywhere between 1.5 and 6 million trained reservists in its workers and peasants militia, most of whom are ready to pick up arms and fight if the country went to war. With mandatory conscription, nearly every male in the North has at least some kind of training, and could be called upon to serve as cannon fodder, even if they aren't still serving. It also has tens of thousands of military police, mostly in Pyongyang. The North has its own Hitler Youth. No dictatorship is complete without exploitation of child soldiers. So it goes in North Korea, where the Young Red Guards, sometimes called the Red Youth Guard, serve as the youth arm of its organized paramilitary force. Created in 1970, the Young Red Guards are males aged 15 to 17, who go through 10 to 15 days of military and survival during the summer to prepare them for conscription at age 18. Naturally, they must provide their own food and uniforms. The US plan to beat North Korea is constantly evolving. The US strategy to fight alongside South Korea and defeat an invasion by the North is called Plan 5027. It was developed in the early 70s and revised constantly, as the North threat capabilities evolve. Versions of the plan usually involve Iraq and US defeating a DPRK invasion at a defensive line about 20 to 30 miles deep into South Korea, but still north of Seoul. It also incorporates the North's nuclear, biological, and cyber abilities, while leaving enough forces to prevent Seoul from being bombarded. During the Bush years, Plan 5027 focused more on offensive warfare, and has reportedly been rewritten again since then. The two countries also have a plan for a sudden collapse of the Kim regime, called Plan 5029, as well as a separate plan for a preemptive strike against the North, called Plan 5015. Little is known about either of these plans. Nobody knows exactly how much they spend on their military. The North Korean policy of JONG-UN puts the military first above all other governmental functions. This means money is funneled to the army while the people prepare for famine. How much money is it? There's no agreed upon figure. The North Korean state news claims it's 15.8% of the country's budget, but other estimates range from 25% to as high as 38%. While the country is in constant financial difficulty, no thought has been given to reducing military spending. Nuclear suicide bombers? In 2013, the world threw up in its mouth a bit at the sight of columns of North Korean soldiers carrying backpacks with the international symbol for nuclear power on them. Earlier intelligence indicated that the North was developing a backpack bomb unit, and people put two and two together and freaked out. Did the North really have miniaturized, man-portable nukes? No, they didn't. Not only does this technology far exceed what Kim Jong-un's kingdom is capable of, but defectors reassured the West that the backpacks were just for show. They were likely stuffed either with hazmat suits, or even more likely, rags. Military service is mandatory, even for women. North Korea mandates every male over 18 serve a 10-year term in the armed forces, which is actually down from 13 years, with the number reduced only recently. These conscripts usually start as frontline infantry, are often poorly trained, and have little in the way of food or equipment, which is saved for elite units. In 2015, to make up for low birth and high mortality rates, Kim Jong-un ordered that women were to be conscripted as well, though their terms in uniform are shorter, only until they turn 23. Women often serve in frontline positions, and are often seen marching in long, armed columns during the North's numerous military parades. The North has as many submarines as the US. Both North Korea and the United States have about the same number of submarines, with the US having 72, and North Korea between 70 and 75, but the similarities end there, as all of the US's subs are sophisticated boats capable of carrying dozens of nuclear or cruise missiles. In contrast, the North Korean submarine fleet is mostly either 1950s-era Soviet models or small coastal patrol subs. One randomly went missing in March 2016, while another grounded on a South Korean beach and was captured. Even the Kim family's much-vaunted new nuclear submarine is likely a knockoff of a 70s Yugoslavian model, and barely works. The North claims they can turn Seoul into a sea of fire. One of the most prominent claims North Korea makes against the South is that they have enough artillery pointed at the South's capital of Seoul to reduce it to rubble. These claims are almost certainly inflated, however. While the North has around 700 artillery pieces and rocket launchers trained on Seoul, and the initial bombardment would kill thousands, estimates are that a quarter of the shells fired would be duds, and the South would quickly hit back with counter-battery fire. The death rate would be high in the first few minutes, then slowly trickle to nothing. And lastly, Kim Jong-un launches missiles when the US makes him mad. According to defector Kenji Fujimoto, the Japanese sushi chef who personally served the Kim family, Kim Jong-un has no intention of starting a war with either the US or South Korea. Instead, he orders shows of force like missile launches when he's upset about sanctions or false accusations against him. Fujimoto regularly travels back to the North from Japan, and has attempted to act as a bridge between the two. Don't forget to subscribe to Facts Detective and click the notification bell for more upcoming videos. Thank you.